Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Now I do all things crafty, but on today's video I'm going to make some things for my husband. I have a keychain and then I have a bottle opener, and the keychain actually has a bottle opener on it as well. But he's been on me about making these, and so that's what we're going to do today. Now the materials that I'm going to use for this are sublimation prints. So he has a group called 333 Adventures. This is sublimation, so it's printed backwards. But I have all these cut out for some tiny little keychains, and then I have larger ones cut out for these bottle openers. In addition to that, I'm going to use one bottle opener on the video, one keychain with the bottle opener on the video, some heat tape, scissors, and my heat press. Now this is just a small craft press. It's like 9 by 12. I like to use it when I'm working on small things because I can do everything right here. Now the paper that I'm using today is Hiipoo Sublimation Paper. I'm printing this on my Epson EcoTank 15,000. Now that's a printer that wasn't designed for sublimation, but instead of putting the ink in it that came in it, I put Hiipoo ink in instead. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the smaller project. Now I got these on Amazon, and then I got these from Heat Transfer Warehouse. And what I do, when I get something that's not from Amazon, I write on it so that I know exactly where they came from. So we'll do one of these, and we'll do one of these. Now these are really cute. Here's the little blanks that we're going to use. We're just going to use one. And then here's the actual keychain. Now again, I got these off of Amazon. They have a really nice weight to them. It's a nice heavy little keychain. And I actually did take one out and I opened the bottle just to make sure they actually functioned correctly. So here's the little blank, and then we're going to sublimate it. Then I'll peel off this protective paper here and we stick it down. It's very easy. I've made one of these before and it turned out gorgeous. Then for the second project, this is stainless steel. It has a sublimation coating on it. It says it's actually two-sided. I'm just going to do one side today. Now on my images, I made each design just a little bit larger than the blank, and that way you know exactly where to place it and you don't risk having the white left on the blank. Let's cut this out and I'll show you what I mean. So when I did this design, I did the 333. That font is called blue. I added the black background, and then I centered the 333 in the black background. That way when I place my blank down on it, as long as I have an equal amount of black showing around it, it should be centered. Now these do come with a protective plastic coating, and so you need to take that off. Sometimes it is really hard to tell if they have a coating on them, but if you order these, and I'll put a link in the video description, there is this little protective coating. Since it was protected, I'm not going to clean that. And I forgot to tell you that I'll be using butcher paper. So I'm also going to use butcher paper. All right, so I'm going to flip this over. Remember, you have to mirror your design. I'll flip this over. I'm going to make sure that it's centered in the black fairly well. And then I'm going to put a piece of tape over it so that it doesn't move when I move it to the heat press. Now speaking of the heat press, let me turn that on. For these, I'm going to do them at 400 for 45 seconds. When I do these, I'm going to bump up the time to a minute because that's what Heat Transfer Warehouse said to do. Now to protect the pad of my heat press, I want this double layered. So it's going to have two pieces of paper under it, and then two pieces of paper, or two thicknesses of the paper on top of it. Now notice how that wants to come up. Also, if your craft room has humidity in it, this might actually have a little bit of moisture in it. So what I'm going to do while this is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and place that under my press, and then I'm just going to press this down for about 10 seconds. When you do that, it's going to remove moisture if there is any in it. I don't know if there is, but even more important for me is it's going to make it where it's nice and flat. That way when you put it back under the press, you don't have to worry about, did it go down correctly? Is it really on your blank? See how nice that looks now? Now I'm going to let that cool off just a little bit, and then I need to let my heat press heat up. It's only at just about 300 right now, and remember I'm going up to 400. Alright, that is up to temp, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over so the paper's on top, put it in my little paper sandwich, and then we're going to go ahead and heat this again at 400 for 45 seconds. Now I like to have it about in the middle. I think that's where the best pressure is. Also, I do have my heat press set from medium to firm pressure. Now, you notice it's not really squared up, but that's okay because I have it in the middle. All right, I'm just going to hold this by the paper because, of course, that metal is going to be super hot. Now, this is why you need to use some protective paper. I don't want that to get on the pad of my heat press because then it could transfer back onto something else. I just want to keep my heat press pad protected. All right, I'm going to let this cool off just for a minute. You don't want to shift your paper while everything is so hot that it could still sublimate. If you shift your paper when it's that hot, you're going to cause blurriness or ghosting. So we'll go ahead and set that down. And I'll take the protective coating over the adhesive off. So this is adhesive, and once I have this ready to go, it's just going to stick right down on there. And because this is about the exact size of what that little divot is, it goes in there very easily. Biggest decision is which way to have it face. Look at that. Look at those beautiful colors. Okay, so when he's holding the keychain up, I think I want the words to go down. And so I'm going to put it on like this. And it fell right into place. Now, it's a tiny bit crooked, but that's okay. He will probably never notice. All right, so that's the first project. Now, on this second project, I'm going to go ahead and do it on this side. Remember, this is double-sided. And let me go ahead and wipe this down just with a cloth. You could also use rubbing alcohol. Now, when I did my design, I have a line above it and a line below it. That's so that I can kind of center this, because once you put your design down, you can't see through this to know exactly where this is. Now, I see my bottom one, the line got cut off. So that's why I'm cutting up to this second one. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn it over. And then I'm using the lines to center this so that I know where to place it. I think that's pretty good, so let me go ahead and put some tape to hold it in place again so that when I flip it over, it doesn't shift. Now, I also need to bump up the time on my heat press to 1 minute instead of 45 seconds. Now again, I want 2 pieces of paper under it and on top of it. And so I'm just folding this over to accomplish that. And just like last time, I'm going to put this in there just for a few seconds to really get it flattened down and potentially take out moisture. You go ahead and place this inside. Put it in the center of my mat. And we'll go ahead and press that on. Now this is going to be super hot, and I don't have my gloves over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it out, and then because this is holding heat, let me just slide it over on the second pad that's on this heat press. And we're done with that for the day, so I'll just go ahead and turn that off. Just like on the KeyChain, I want to go ahead and let this cool down for a little bit again so I don't shift the paper on it while it is still super hot and cause ghosting. All right, that is still pretty hot, but we're going to move on. Now, if you are doing this, use some heat gloves. Do not do this without the heat gloves. That's what I should have on, and that's what I'm going to get because that is super hot. Now, while I'm doing this, let me tell you, I did look on Amazon tonight, and you can get some of these on Amazon. This does not have the white coating on it. The ones with the white coating, they're going to show your colors just exactly the way the colors are on the paper. But my concern about the white coated one was, as you use it, I think that white coating might get chipped or scratched. And so I opted for just the stainless steel. I also noticed on Amazon that there was one seller that sold ones that looked like this, but they didn't say sublimation. And it got really bad reviews because somebody was trying to sublimate on it. But it didn't say sublimation. So when you're buying sublimation blanks, make sure they truly are meant for sublimation. If they don't have that coating on them, then it's not going to work. Again, I got these from Heat Transfer Warehouse, and so I'll link to these. And look at that. Oh my gosh, that's cute. Now, I used bright, vivid colors so they would show up on this. If you're trying to use light colors, it'll show up, but it's not going to pop as much as maybe you're used to when you sublimate on white. Isn't that nice? I think they both turned out great. Now, I think I said earlier, these are double-sided, so I could put the same thing on the back, or I could put his name on the back. For this one, I'm just going to leave it like this. So here's my final projects. I have the stainless steel one, and this is nice and heavy too. Both of these feel like really nice quality blanks. Here's this one. And here's this one. So thanks so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that. If you do, tap the bell, select the all notification. That way YouTube lets you know anytime I upload new content. So thanks again for joining me, and until my next video, bye-bye. Okay, so I had to redeem myself. I made a new one, and it's not crooked this time. There it is.